Three and welcome back to lesson 3 and unit 2, which speak about radioactivity and nuclear energy. Okay, uh, we should know first of all that the atom, we know some knowledge about the atom from the previous years on Middle 1 and Middle 2. We know that inside the atom we have a nucleus, and inside the nucleus we have protons and neutrons, and outside the nucleus we have some electrons orbiting around it. You remember that. So the structure of the atom consists of a nucleus, which contains protons and neutrons, while the nucleus is surrounded by electrons, and most of the mass of the atom is concentrated in the nucleus. Most of the mass of the atom is concentrated in the nucleus. And nuclear forces are forces which bend the neutrons and the protons in the nucleus to overcome the repulsion between them, between protons and the nucleus. When the nucleus is bombarded in the nuclear reactor, the nuclear energy is related. This energy is huge and is used for different purposes, like words like using or generating electricity, whatever is used as that, useful or harmful. The discovery of radioactivity. The first man who discovered radioactivity was a French scientist called Henri Becquerel. Henri Becquerel discovered the emission of invisible rays from uranium. Of course, you heard about uranium. The rays penetrated solid objects. Definition of radioactivity phenomenon. Radioactivity is a spontaneous or a continuous spontaneous phenomenon whereby the nuclei of a certain element, like uranium, radiates different rays or particles. Therefore, the unstable nucleus becomes stable. Like in this picture, we have a radioactive atom. This is a radioactive atom. This radioactive atom began to radiate energy or a particle like this. And this photo is, of course, a photo of a radioactivity generator. Okay. What is a radioactivity element? Radioactive element, it is a radioactive element is an element with unstable nucleus. Its nucleus unstable because it contains huge number of neutrons, higher than a certain number. Therefore, it radiates the different radiation and it gets converted into stable element. Of course, everything in our whole world wants to be stable. Somehow want to be stable, like the atom. The atom, of course, wants to be stable. If the atom has more neutrons, so they began to radiate these neutrons to get rid of them. Okay, radioactivity occurs either naturally or artificially. Okay, the natural radioactivity. What is the meaning of natural radioactivity and artificial? Artificial, of course, by man, by human, and natural by anything else. Like the natural radioactivity, it is a radiation produced from radioactive element in nature, and artificial, it is radiation released during nuclear reactions. Okay, occurrence of it. The natural radioactivity in nature, examples of rocks of the earth, the artificial radioactivity in the nuclear reactor, nuclear bomb, like the nuclear bomb. Radioactive elements. Examples of some radioactive elements that radiate naturally, like rubidium, like selenium, like tritium, like zirconium, and like strontium. The artificial radioactivity we use it a lot is uranium, of course. There is a wars between countries to get the uranium. This is the picture of uranium and how it is. Okay. And now we will discuss some uses of nuclear energy. The nuclear energy, first of all, in the medical field. In the medical field, in diagnosis and treatment diseases like cancer. Number 2, in the artificial or agriculture field, like killing or eliminating pests and improving plants. Number 3, industrial field, like convert sand to silicon sheets used in manufacturing computer processors, and to programmed electric circuits used in electric appliance, finding defects in manufactured products or generating electricity, or the nuclear reactor release a large amount of heat which is used to boil water, and the steam produced turbines which operate the electric generator. In space exploration, nuclear fuel powered rocket, drilling petroleum oil, underground water. Okay, the harmful effects of radioactivity. Radioactivity has two sources. Of course, we have two sources of radioactivity, natural or artificial. Okay, what is the difference between them? The natural radioactivity, like the rocks of the earth, cosmic radiation coming from the outer space. Artificial radioactivity, it's the explosion of nuclear bomb, like the nuclear reactor example in 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear reactor in Russia exploded. This released radiation which were carried by the wind to surrounding European countries. When rain fell, the radioactive element like iodine and cesium were deposited in the soil. Okay. The decay of nuclear fuel uranium-235 during the Chernobyl accident produced atomic dust which fell on the soil by dry falling or by falling with the rain to the earth. Okay. The herbivorous plants, animals, these are animal-eating plants, such as cows, sheep feeding on polluted plants. The radiation affects their milk and meat. The radiation affects their milk and meat. This is a picture from Chernobyl disaster, after and before. Okay. What is the meaning of radioactive isotope? When two nuclei have the same atomic number of protons and neutrons, then they are isotopes. Isotopes, we can say that they are similar to each other, but the difference is between something else, the number of neutrons. Isotopes have the same chemical properties and different physical properties. Example, carbon has two isotopes, C6 and 12 and C6 and 14. The one which has two extra neutrons is radioactive and undergo radioactive decay to lose these two neutrons. The dangers of exposure to radiation. Number 1, exposure to radiation, of course, to large doses of radiation or to small doses of radiation. Let's know the difference between them. First, the large doses of radiation. For a short time, this is for a short time. Damage of that digestive system, first, spleen, the central nervous system also will be damaged, and the bone marrow also will be damaged, which produce the blood cells. This reduces the number of red blood cells. The person becomes sick and has sore throat, nausea, and vertigo, and diarrhea. Okay, this is like this. Exposure to small doses of radiation for a long time, months or years. Causes. This may cause what? Physical defects. There are changes to appear on a living organism, such as exposure like skin cancer, genetic change in the sex hormones resulting in abnormal birth, change in the structure of the cell, such as change in the structure of hemoglobin found in red blood cell. This change makes the blood cell incapable of carrying oxygen. Okay, protection from radiation. How can I protect the living organisms from radiation? How can I protect myself from radiation? Of course, there are some ways to protect ourselves from radiation, like avoid exposure to radiation. What? The maximum dose of radiation we will be avoidable is 5 rem daily. Rem is a unit of radiation. Number 2, person who handle radioactive element in nuclear reactor who work there and in hospitals should wear protective gears like gloves, suits, masks, whatever. Number 3, when storing radioactive wastes, take the following precautions. Number 1, radioactive wastes should be stored away from underground water resources to prevent their pollution. Radioactive wastes are stored in a stable area away from volcanoes and earthquakes. Radioactive waste is also stored away from lands, caves to prevent the pollution from reaching the animal. Okay, these are an overview of how to protect yourself from radiation. And now we have finished our lesson number 3, and we also have finished our unit number 2, which is about physics. And say goodbye to physics and say goodbye to chemistry. Let's enter to the next unit, which is about biology. Say goodbye and bye-bye.